In my opinion, Poseidon is the worst goddess in the game, and it's not even close. While doing the overview for 4, I was saying, look, 4 is a B tier goddess, and this is most clearly highlighted when contrasting her with, like top tier goddesses such as like Izanagi, Izanami, Odin, Loki. Like these top tier goddesses give you additional like tactical options. They give you more choices in the game. They give you alternative routes, or they give you different ways of paying, different methods of getting from A to B, which just like a generic blank goddess wouldn't have. But even 4 gives you something, right? Like the complaint was 4's ability really doesn't like change the game. It doesn't affect anything much. It's just kind of neat. Like occasionally you get 2 devotion, and maybe you can do an extra attack or put down a card or something, and it's kind of like, oh, that's neat, but you don't tend to win games off of it. But when comparing 4 to Poseidon, the clear sort of like difference in level is pretty apparent, because 4 at least is self-perpetuating. What I mean by that is, pathetic as I kind of consider 4's ability to be, as in it's okay, but at least it's something. And to some degree you can say, right, well, when I destroy a permanent, I get more devotion, which then gives me the ability to put, more units on the field, or to attack again, which will then get me more devotion. It's very weak, but at least 4 helps herself. You try and help 4, and then she tries to help, and it's a loop. Same with everyone. I mean, Zeus is kind of the perfect example. Zeus puts down units which give her bonus devotion, which allows her to put down more units, which in turn then gives her more bonus devotion. Zeus helps herself to help herself, if you know what I mean. Like, she's self-perpetuating. She helps herself. She may, like, so to a large degree, you can say, look, Poseidon does not give you any additional tactical options. It's really not offering anything that you would not have anyway. It's not allowing you to play the game in any alternative way. She's pretty useless in that regard. Secondly, the way that, like you read the ability, you're kind of like, oh, well, what happens is Poseidon wants to put down, like a stack of permanents, Greek permanents, and then that allows her to move around the board. But what she needs is loads of permanents on the board, but she doesn't reward you for that. Zeus rewards you for that. Zeus literally says, oh, that's great, thank you so much. You put down a couple of Minotaurs for me, extra devotion, here you go. Here's an increased chance of winning the game now. Poseidon wants you to put down more permanents, but she doesn't help you to do that at all. And the truth of the matter is, if you have enough permanents down for Poseidon to get moving, you're winning the game anyway. Like, you very rarely even need to use Poseidon. This is like a caricature, because she's not even that great a beat stick. Like 7 per 30 is good, yeah. Like that is completely acceptable. It's kind of like 2.3 per 10. That's a fantastic rate. It's slightly better than Athena. Her movement is abominable, but if you get like 5 units, then it's down to 3, so she becomes like a 7-3. That's fine, except you have to put in a lot of work for her to get to that point. She's on the other side of the battlefield, away from everything else, and by the time that you've set up that, 1, you're already winning, you're already ahead. 2, there are beat sticks in this game, like Ningyo Sphinx, which offer you 4 per 10, 4 movement, just dead straight, no conditions attached, no need to do anything else. That's without modifiers, that's without call to arms, that's without battle plans. They're just beasts. And you don't need to make them walk all the way there. They're a better beat stick because you slam them down and they get to work. They start tearing things apart. Poseidon isn't even a great beat stick. So she desperately wants you to put stuff down so that then she can like get into combat, which is also another problem she has. Like, we're talking about like good bad matchups. Poseidon doesn't help you. She's not self-perpetuating. If you can use her, you're winning anyway. she's not even that great at what she does. And unlike, you know, like, I'm going to compare to 4, because 4 as well, I consider kind of like B tier, just slightly above Poseidon. 4 at least doesn't like try and induce you into doing reckless stuff. How stupid is this? Poseidon wants you to put stuff down so that she can then dive face first into the enemy. Do you know how many bad matchups she has? 1. She has a bad matchup with Hell. Why? Because Hell does what she does, but a million times better. Whereas Poseidon is super vulnerable to, you know, like Armageddon, Earthquake, Seaquake. She needs permanence, but she has no way of like helping you to keep permanence on the board. She has no way of putting permanence on the board. She doesn't help you in any way to actually do what she wants to do. She's just telling you to help her to do it, you know? She's just sitting there like a selfish princess, all a spoilt brat. Like, oh no, you need to put all these permanents down so I can do my job. Well, help me to do that then. Hell, on the other hand, resistant to Earthquake, resistant to Seaquake, helps you to help her. Make sure that, you know, like, those permanents you're putting down, she can absorb them. It's actually very difficult to, like, take advantage of her Hell a lot of the time, because she is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger, and she's going to get health. I mean, for goodness sake, if you wanted a beat stick goddess and you wanted to play that style, Hell is sitting right there, already better than Poseidon, so that's a terrible matchup. Second, any matchup, you know, where you've got like a blank 6, like, I mean, Amaterasu anyway, but I mean, Izanami, Odin, Loki, I mean, even 4, of course. Tsukuyomi, are you kidding? She has a bad matchup into all of them because they actually have abilities or additional tactical options. In fact, not only does she have bad matchups, but she has one of the worst matchups in the game into Odin. Odin looks at Poseidon and is like, what on earth are you trying to do right now? Like, what Poseidon wants to do is dive in face first. And Odin is like, okay, well, I'm just going to double the attack of something and punch you in the face. Oh, look, I've just, like, my Kraken has foot. No problem. My Kraken is standing right there. You want to, like, dive in, start fighting people yourself? Great. Well, look, I'm going to double that Kraken's attack to 40, hit you twice, and then ask you if you feel like, if you're regretting your decision now. She's so stupid. They're, like, easily, in my opinion, the worst goddess in the game. I've said as much as I possibly can. Like, you know, on some levels you can judge like how good, you know, like a fighter is in like a fighting game, like how many bad matchups they have, how many good matchups they have, how many weaknesses they have. Poseidon doesn't have any good matchups. She's poor into everything, and she is just straight horrible into certain things. It is bad. It is really, really bad. Right, I've talked about Poseidon enough. I'm going to go through the deck that I got through campaign mode with. Despite what I've just said about Poseidon, the truth of the matter is the deck is actually solid, and we had a miserable time in Greek mythology because I was trying so hard to like play around Poseidon. I was kind of like, well, let's give her a chance. Let's try and play to Poseidon. You know, we'll play these Greek units and we'll see what happens. And it was a disaster. Like, it went really bad. But like once we went into like Egyptian mythology through, actually our win rate was very positive. You know, it was close to around like 70-80% win rate, which for the worst goddess in the game is still kind of okay. It shows that it's still very like the game is still balanced. It's just clear that she's the worst. You know, she's still got every opportunity to beat other goddesses, but it's not like she beat them. It's just a blank piece of paper that said 6 devotion per turn on it beat them. Right, so I'll go through the deck that got me through insane mode. Yeah. So this is actually 2 Greek Temple. I don't know what happens. Sometimes, like when you click on a deck, it will just take the. Actually, that's kind of irritating me. Let's just do this quickly. Let's just put that back in. Yeah, sorry, that irritates me. Anyway, yeah, double Greek Temple. I don't normally do 8/5s, but I kind of like. I definitely like got salty in Greek mythology, and then I played like a basic standard deck, which I just like. Let's just ignore playing to her. Let's just treat her as 6 basic devotion, and then just have a basic deck. But then I went into Egyptian mythology. It's like, I think we can still work around this. I don't normally use Greek Temple, but an 8/5 is valuable on the second turn, or yeah, well, go in second, I should say. Go in second. It also acts kind of as bait while Taisho is around and my battle plan. And my battle plan is far more valuable than the Greek temple. It's okay, you know, like you're making 2 devotion back after the second turn it's on the board is significantly easier to get to Armageddon than I normally find it to do so. So in those games where you're in trouble, throwing down a Greek temple, all you really need to ask yourself is, can this last for 2 turns? If it can last for 2 turns, throw it down, get the extra 2 devotion, and then after that, you're just gaining and gaining and gaining. And you really need that because sometimes things are just going wrong. So something like this that has like a big devotion return per turn. Return per turn. Oh, that's a weird way of saying that. You know, but is actually only in the single digits in cost is pretty great. Hephaestus, when I got into Egyptian mythology, I was kind of like, well, look, this is still workable, but we need to like play to Poseidon, but we're just gonna have to make like cuts here and there. So I kind of saw Hephaestus like, okay, look, we can still do like our common win condition that we use in a lot of decks, which is, you know, like battle plan plus, you know, some sort of Ningyo or Sphinx. Just something that offers like 4 per 10. Hephaestus, you know, like has that 40 health that I value so much, but it's also a 5 per 10. So it's kind of like in Fujin levels, it's okay. With a battle plan, it goes to that 4 per 10, which I really, really like. And, you know, like if you've got 2 free battle plans, it goes crazy. It's very beefy. Surprisingly valuable. You know, I kind of put it in the deck mostly just because with 40 health, I figured it would stay around, and maybe if it stayed around long enough, Poseidon might be able to do something, but that was just false. I actually went through like Egyptian, Norse, Japanese, quite calm and just like, look, it is what it is. But really, just like in the last battle against Daganda, I was just losing it. Like, Poseidon, can you please just do something? We really did try hard here. Like, honestly, I really was trying hard to make a deck, but I don't think this is like the strongest deck it's possible to make. I, you know, like Hephaestus is okay though, but she's really just like a poor man's Sphinx. You know, a poor, like even a poor man's Ningyo, because Ningyo only costs 11. And moves at 3 per instead of 5 per. Medusa again, like similar to Greek Temple, as like maybe we can fight in terms of devotion. And even if we can't, if things are going bad, then we're making money on the second turn it's on the board. A Greek Temple, Medusa, will get us to Armageddon in, you know, like a couple of turns, 2-3 turns. This isn't so bad. Like, this is workable. If we then kind of like identify what the objective is, when we need to go and when we need to stop, when we search for Armageddon, and when we actually decide to fight for board. And Medusa's a fantastic card. It's fantastic in Zeus, you know, where it's a 5/4. It's just fantastic here as well. You know, like you're still getting great value for money, essentially. Armageddon, 3 copies. To be fair, like we were fighting for board harder than usual. So sometimes I'll take like 4 copies of Armageddon. I was trying so hard to just like make like a Greek deck, quote unquote, like something that'll work. So we only had 3 copies because of course Armageddon resets the board, and only Poseidon just goes back to being unbelievably crap, you know, instead of just like quite crap. So you don't really want to Armageddon with her, but you still need that panic button, and you know, in insane mode especially, sometimes your opponent just gets like that 8 bonus devotion, starts first, slams down, you know, like their own Greek temple and a Medusa, and you're kind of like, well, I literally cannot catch up to this when I've only got 6 devotion. Like, I cannot, you know, like race this. So you got to have that emergency button. I kept the earthquake in for Poseidon. If she can find like an economy solution, if your opponent makes a mistake of throwing down 3 monuments in a row, you know, and has nothing else, Poseidon really appreciates just that ability to save just a little bit of money. She doesn't find it easy to get to Armageddon. We were fighting for it, but you can see like Greek Temple still costs 8, Hephaestus is 13. It's a little bit like it's still a little bit expensive. We were just trying like economy as much as possible. We're trying to do the best we could to get in like good cards that are going to give us great returns. But she doesn't tend to like jump high, you know, like Poseidon tends to stay quite low because there's no reason for her to go high, you know, like there's nothing at like 30, 40 devotion for her. there's not like any sort of great move she can really do or anything, so there was no point, you know. Whereas with Tsukuyomi, of course, the deck was much more aggressive, because she was capable of doing like crazy things. Drawing cards at discounts allowed her to just like pull off combos, and it was very, very exciting. But you know, Poseidon just doesn't feel the need to go that high. Like, she's going to spend as she goes along, invest as she goes along, try and create a strong board, fight for it. Yeah, Seaquake as well. Just yeah, there's nothing I said. I've talked about these in like every, you know, like overview I've ever done. So we get into, what is she, like the 12th goddess we've done? We've got two more to do, just Odin and Loki. That's it. So I think she's the 12th. Mummy, again, this is in so many of my decks for understandable reasons. Fantastic card. For devotion, it almost always costs more for your opponent to remove this card than for you to put it down, and then you just can just play it again from the graveyard when they get rid of it. Rise of the Pharaoh. Yeah, sometimes you just need that little bit of a jump, and like I said, like Poseidon doesn't tend to go too high. She doesn't find anything at 30 or 40, but she does really need to reach that Armageddon occasionally. So as she's investing in board state, occasionally you're going to be at like 17, 18, 19, and just like a Rise of the Pharaoh, to, you know, double Rise of the Pharaoh, something, just something. Even if you're at 26, you still tend to Rise of the Pharaoh. Just you've got like, you clear the board, then you throw a mummy down, and then you're at 6+2. So you start again at 8, which is very valuable for you, extremely valuable. Battle plan, of course, like my win condition in this, it's a little bit thin. Normally I prefer to have like 4 to 6. We've got Hephaestus, but I mean battle plan also goes into Medusa quite fine. You know, like a Medusa that's going 5 per 10. You know, that's kind of okay. You know, that there are worse things in this world than that. Battle plan is just enable. Don't throw it down unless you're sure that this is the time to posture aggressively, because throwing it down and getting it removed can often leave you with like a Hephaestus in the middle of nowhere with 5 per 10, but that's 13 devotion you're spending on it. It doesn't actually make the return. So if you can't use it as an offensive weapon, you actually start making losses here. You've got to be careful, because if the battle plan gets removed, Hephaestus actually drops in value very, very significantly. I've said before, but I'll just kind of like say this again for people that haven't heard me talk about battle plan before. But the gain is exponential. Like, one battle plan is great, but you know, like the second battle plan, it gives you more of a return, and then the third battle plan gives you even more of a return. So having 3 battle plans on the field is more than 3 times better than having 1 battle plan on the field. I mean, it's often closer to like 5, 6 times better or higher. You know, it's exponential. So if you can slam multiple at once, you know, or protect them and just grow the board, plan around getting your battle plan. Ha, good one. Skull joke, I suppose. Yoho, Everflowing Sun. I was trying to reduce Taisho because I didn't like. We were trying to fight for board, so Taisho was just a little bit lower in terms of, you know, like, it's not giving you devotion. It still allows you to cycle. It's great with Mummy. But because we're going lower on Taisha, I needed to go higher in Everflowing Sun. We're taking a little bit of a gamble here, you know, in as much as we're losing cycle from the board and the ability to just like cycle turn after turn. And, you know, like the extra copy of Everflowing doesn't really cover it, but just when you can only generate 3 per turn and we're fighting for boards, and it's not an instant like, okay, look, if I cycle to the correct answer, we can deal with whatever problem is thrown at us. Because, I mean, Poseidon doesn't really have any special way of dealing with problems apart from just getting the cards. And she's not going to pop to 30, 40 devotion. So Taisha wasn't helping with that. Like, we were getting the solution to the problem. You know, we were drawing the card we needed. But the free devotion was kind of killing the actual momentum and causing us to struggle. So I went down a copy. I still don't like this card. I just think sometimes if you haven't got it in hand, you know, if you haven't got your answer, if you haven't got your solution, if you haven't got your Armageddon, whatever it is, you know, or you haven't got your body on the field. To be honest, we were struggling with bodies on the field because really it's just Hephaestus mostly, with kind of like Medusa and Mummy just hanging around giving devotion. So, I mean, that's only 10% of the deck, and it's very easy not to be able to find like that body you need on the board to start impacting and influencing and putting pressure down. Soul Extraction times 4. I mean, I've already said we're fighting for board, we're trying to race. So 4 copies, normally I'll go 3, but she just wants to fight. Time Reflow 3 as normal, you know, like it allows you to use your grave as a toolbox. We've already talked with Taisho and Sun about, you know, like having the answer in hand. Occasionally you'll find like a single copy of Armageddon, but the other 2 copies are at the bottom of your deck. You just can't get to them. Time Reflow can effectively act as, you know, 3 more copies of Armageddon if that's what you really need. I mean, it's a crazy battle where you have to Armageddon 4 times, but if that's what you need and you can't find the other copies of your Armageddon, then it can be that. But if the perfect answer is Earthquake, you know, it can be that too. And paying 2 devotion for that freedom, that utility, that ability to just reach into your grave and pull out the perfect answer, pretty worth it. Right, normally I summarise the deck at the end. The way I'd summarise this one is just kind of like a poor man's version of a lot of other decks I've done. It's like the Greek version, but the Greek cards do a lot of things and they're very helpful. Yeah, they're very helpful to Zeus. Zeus loves the Greek cards. Zeus is all over it. Hades loves the Greek cards. Give Hades as many Minotaurs and Medusas as you want. You know, he absolutely he wants that. Not so much like we just did the best we could to try and like make it themed to Poseidon, because it's so easy. Could have just been like I could have just like copy and pasted Thor's deck and just played Thor's deck, and for a while I did in Greek mythology. I lost my temper. It was just like, well, screw this. Like this deck is actually worse than if we just took Thor's Norse deck that we had with, you know, like the Skadi and the Kraken in it. Like that would have had like more of a win rate. That would have been better. But actually this is quite decent. I'm not sure who wins between like the 4 deck and this deck. I mean, yeah, obviously 4 beats Poseidon. And the issue is kind of like, because 4 is Norse, they benefit from Identry, which I think is one of the best monuments in the game, whereas Poseidon is Greek and doesn't. I mean, it will most definitely get you through insane mode, insane campaign mode, without too few difficulties. I mean, once you get the hang of it, like I said, 70-80% win rate. The deck works. It's just Poseidon as a goddess, as an entity, which I don't respect. I think it's just a massive waste of time. Trying to enable Poseidon and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like build around it and make sure I've got like all these permanents that Poseidon can run around attacking things itself. Why? Why do you need your goddess to do that? Why can't your goddess literally sit at the back and say, I'm gonna allow my permanents to be even more powerful? I mean, at least be good at it. Poseidon just sucks at being a beat stick. Like, you're just doing it for the laughs. It's not like a competitive choice, I don't think. I mean, in a way, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I'm completely wrong about Poseidon. And that is just, I've completely misread how to use her. And it turns out she's amazing and like completely broken. If she's broken, I'll take it all back. I was wrong. I won't take down this video, obviously. But, you know, I'll laugh at it and just say, well, the joke was on me because I just didn't realise her potential. Because right now I don't see any potential. She looks absolute crap.